I never thought I'd see that house again. The white colonial on Maple Street with the wraparound porch. And the garden my mother spent 15 years perfecting. 2 years had passed since I walked away from everything I knew. And in that time, I'd built a completely different life 3 states away. I had a new job, new friends, a small apartment that didn't hold any memories. I'd worked hard to forget. But then the letter came. It wasn't from my parents. It wasn't even from anyone I recognized. It was from a law firm representing the estate of Margaret Chen, my next-door neighbor growing up. Mrs. Chen had passed away at 92, and apparently, she'd left me something in her will. The letter was vague, just said I needed to be present for the reading, that it was important, that I was specifically named. I hadn't thought about Mrs. Chen in years, though she'd been a constant presence throughout my childhood. She was the kind of neighbor who knew everyone's business, but never gossiped maliciously. She'd watch me from her window when I played in the yard, always had cookies ready when I'd stop by, listened to me complain about my parents during my teenage years with a knowing smile. That suggested she understood more than I realized. The flight back felt longer than it actually was. Every mile closer made my chest tighter. I kept telling myself I'd go to the lawyer's office, handle whatever this inheritance thing was, and leave without seeing anyone from my old life, especially not them. But life doesn't work that cleanly, does it? The town looked exactly the same, which somehow made it worse. Same coffee shop on the corner, same hardware store, same bank with the fading sign. I had changed so much in 2 years, transformed myself completely, and this place had just continued. Like I'd never existed, like nothing I'd been through mattered. I got to the law office 15 minutes early because I wanted this over with. The receptionist seemed to recognize my last name, gave me a look that was part pity, part curiosity. Small towns. Everyone knows everything. Or at least they think they do. The lawyer, Mr. Harrison, was older than I expected, with kind eyes that crinkled at the corners. He shook my hand and gestured to a chair across from his desk. "Thank you for coming, Miss Winters. I know this must be difficult, returning here." I didn't respond. What could I say? That it felt like swallowing glass? That every street sign made me want to turn around and run? He opened a folder and pulled out a single key attached to a small brass tag. "Margaret Chen left you full access to her home security system and all archived footage, going back 7 years. The house itself goes to her nephew, but she was very specific that you were to have unrestricted access to the security recordings. All of them." I stared at the key, not understanding. Security recordings? Mrs. Chen had cameras? Quite an extensive system, actually. She had it installed about 8 years ago. Multiple cameras covering her property and, well, portions of the neighboring properties as well. Given the angles of her home, several cameras naturally captured activity in your parents' yard, driveway, and front entrance. Something cold settled in my stomach. Why would she leave these to me? Mr. Harrison leaned back in his chair, studying me carefully. "She left a letter. Would you like me to read it?" I nodded, not trusting my voice. He unfolded a single sheet of paper, and I recognized Mrs. Chen's shaky handwriting immediately. Mr. Harrison read, "Dear Sarah, if you're hearing this, I've passed on, and you've come back. I wasn't sure you would, but I hoped. I've watched you grow up, watched you suffer, and watched you leave. I should have done more when it mattered. I should have spoken up, but I was old and scared and convinced myself it wasn't my place. This is my apology and my gift. The truth has always been there, recorded, time-stamped, undeniable. What you do with it is your choice. You deserve better. You always did. With love, Margaret." The room was silent for a long moment. My hands were shaking. The nephew has agreed to give you 1 week of access to the house and the security system. Before he begins renovating, Mr. Harrison said softly. Mrs. Chen paid for a security company to maintain the system and preserve all footage. Until this meeting took place, everything is intact. Everything is accessible. I took the key with numb fingers. Why now? Why would she wait until? I think she wanted to give you the choice, he said. And perhaps she knew you wouldn't have been ready before. I left the office in a daze. Mrs. Chen's house. Security footage. 7 years. The math worked out in ways that made my heart race. 7 years ago, I would have been 20. That was when everything started falling apart. When my life became something I didn't recognize. The key felt heavy in my pocket as I drove to the old neighborhood. I had rented a car at the airport, something anonymous and forgettable. As I turned onto Maple Street, muscle memory kicked in even though my conscious mind resisted every second. There was my parents' house. The garden was smaller now, less maintained. My father's truck in the driveway, same model he'd always driven. Everything looked normal, peaceful, like a postcard of suburban American life. And next to it, Mrs. Chen's house. Dark windows, empty driveway, but well-maintained. Her nephew was clearly taking care of it while preparing for the estate sale. I parked on the street, sat in the car for 10 minutes building up courage, then finally walked to Mrs. Chen's front door. The key slid in smoothly. The house smelled like lavender and old books, exactly as I remembered. I found the security room upstairs, a converted bedroom filled with monitors and a computer system that looked surprisingly sophisticated. Mrs. Chen must have paid good money for this setup. There was a note on the desk in the same shaky handwriting. Password is your birthday, month, day, year. You were always a daughter to me. I typed it in with trembling hands. The system unlocked, and suddenly I was looking at a menu of dates stretching back 7 years. Multiple camera angles, motion-activated recordings, hours and hours and hours of footage. I sat down heavily in the office chair. What was I looking for? What did Mrs. Chen want me to find? But I knew. Deep down, I knew. I started with 2 years and 2 months ago. The week before I left, the footage loaded. Multiple camera angles showed my parents' house from different positions. The front yard, the driveway, part of the side yard, even a partial view into the living room through their front windows. I watched myself come home from work, 23 years old, tired, carrying my purse and laptop bag. I remembered that day. It was 3 days before everything exploded. I fast-forwarded, watching the sun move across the sky in seconds, lights coming on and off. Then I saw my parents' car pull up. My mother got out, then someone else. Tall, blonde, familiar. Chelsea. My former best friend. My maid of honor who never got to serve because there was no wedding. I watched them go inside together, laughing, comfortable. This was early afternoon on a Tuesday. I would have been at work. My father would have been at work. I checked the timestamp and cross-referenced it with my phone calendar from that time period. Yes, I was definitely at work. I kept watching. They were inside for 43 minutes. When they came out, my mother hugged her. A long hug, an intimate hug. My hands clenched on the desk. This wasn't proof of anything. Not really. Maybe they were just close. Maybe they were planning something for me, some kind of surprise. But I knew better. I'd always known something was wrong, even when everyone told me I was paranoid, jealous, insecure. I went back further. 6 months before I left, there was Chelsea again, multiple visits, always when my father and I would be at work. Sometimes she'd stay for hours. 8 months before I left. Same pattern. 1 year before I left, there she was again. I felt sick. How had I missed this? but I knew how. I trusted them, both of them. When Chelsea started getting close to my family, I thought it was sweet. When my mother said they had lunch together sometimes, I thought it was nice that my best friend and my mom got along. I'd been so stupid. Then I found the jackpot. 14 months before I left, a Saturday afternoon, I'd been out of town at a conference, a rare work trip. The footage showed Chelsea arriving in the morning. But this time, my mother wasn't alone when she opened the door. James was there. My fiancé. My James. I watched them all disappear inside. Watched hours pass. Watched them finally emerge as the sun was setting. My mother, my fiancé, my best friend. All three of them, together, in my parents' house. While I was gone, the angle of the camera caught their faces as they stood on the porch saying goodbye. They were smiling. Happy. James had his arm around Chelsea's waist. My mother squeezed his shoulder affectionately. They looked like a family. I started going through footage systematically, making notes, taking screenshots, compiling timestamps. The pattern was undeniable. For more than a year before my life fell apart, the three of them had been meeting regularly at my parents' house. Sometimes all three together. Sometimes just Chelsea and my mother. Sometimes just James and my mother. But the worst was finding footage from 2 weeks before the explosion. The three of them on the back deck, visible from one of Mrs. Chen's side cameras. They were talking, serious expressions. My mother handed James what looked like documents. He looked them over, nodded, passed them to Chelsea. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I could see Chelsea laughing and pointing at something on the papers. James kissed her cheek. My mother raised a glass in what looked like a toast. They were planning something, and I had a horrible feeling I knew what. I finally jumped to 2 years and 2 months ago. The week it all fell apart. The week James sat me down and told me he'd made a mistake. That he loved Chelsea. That he'd always loved Chelsea. That I'd introduced them, and there was this connection. And he was sorry, but he couldn't marry me. The week Chelsea came to my apartment crying, saying she never meant for it to happen, that it just did. That love couldn't be controlled. The week my mother sat across from me in their living room and told me I needed to be mature about this. That I should let James go. That if I really loved them both, I'd understand. That these things happened and I was young and I'd find someone else. The week my father barely looked at me and said I was being dramatic when I asked him to support me, to take my side for once. The week I found out that the apartment James and I were supposed to move into together, he'd signed the lease with Chelsea instead, using money I'd helped him save. The week I discovered that my mother had been helping Chelsea pick out wedding dresses for a wedding to my ex-fiancé, while I was still processing the breakup. The week I realized my entire support system had betrayed me and then acted like I was the unreasonable one for being hurt. I watched the footage from those days, watched Chelsea and James moving boxes into what should have been our apartment, watched my mother helping, watched them laughing together while my world burned down. There was footage of me too, coming to my parents' house, clearly devastated. The cameras caught me arriving, leaving 30 minutes later, crying. That was the day I asked my mother to please just be on my side, to acknowledge that what they did was wrong. After I left, I watched James arrive, watched my mother hug him, pat his back, welcome him inside like a son. I'd left town a week after that, packed everything I owned, quit my job, and drove until I ran out of highway. Started over in a city where no one knew me. Spent 2 years building a new life and trying to forget. But here was the proof. Time-stamped, dated, undeniable proof that this hadn't been some spontaneous falling in love. This had been planned, coordinated, with my mother's full knowledge and cooperation. For over a year before they bothered to tell me, I spent 3 days going through footage, barely slept, ordered food delivery to Mrs. Chen's house, made comprehensive notes, and I found more. I found footage of my mother and Chelsea meeting with a lawyer 6 weeks before the breakup. The camera caught them standing in the driveway afterward, looking at documents, Chelsea pointing excitedly at something. I found footage of James and my father having a heated conversation in the driveway. 3 months before the breakup, my father shaking his head, looking angry, James gesturing emphatically, my father finally nodding, reluctant. I found footage of my mother hosting a dinner party 8 months before the breakup. Chelsea and James were there. I was not. I checked my calendar from that time. I'd been working late. I remembered my mother texting me not to bother coming home that night, that she'd save me leftovers. There had been no leftovers when I came home, because I was never invited in the first place. The picture was clear. My mother had orchestrated this, had encouraged the relationship between James and Chelsea, had facilitated their meetings, had actively helped them build a life together while I was working 60-hour weeks, trying to save money for a wedding, planning a future that everyone around me knew was already over. On the 4th day, I started making copies, downloaded everything to multiple drives, organized it chronologically, created a timeline document with dates, times, and descriptions of what each video showed. It was comprehensive, undeniable, devastating. And then I had to decide what to do with it. The old me would have confronted them immediately, would have stormed over there with my laptop and shoved the evidence in their faces, would have screamed and cried and demanded explanations, apologies, something. But I had spent 2 years becoming someone different, someone harder, someone smarter. I'd also spent 2 years hearing through mutual friends still in town that Chelsea and James had gotten married, that they'd bought a house, that my mother talked about them constantly, showed their pictures to everyone, called Chelsea the daughter she'd always wanted, that they were all happy, that I was the bitter ex who couldn't move on, the jealous friend who tried to keep them apart, the dramatic daughter who'd cut off her family over nothing. That was the story they told. That was what everyone believed. I spent the 5th day watching their current lives through social media. Chelsea's Instagram was public, filled with perfectly filtered photos of their home renovations, date nights, family dinners at my parents' house. My mother featured prominently, always smiling, always close to Chelsea. James's Facebook showed the same happy narrative. He worked at the same company he'd been at when we were together, the job I'd supported him through while he finished his degree. Several mutual friends still worked there. My mother's Facebook was a shrine to Chelsea and James. Photo after photo of them together. Posts about my kids and so blessed and loved ones. There were no pictures of me. It was like I'd been erased. I read through the comments on their posts. People I'd known my whole life, congratulating them, celebrating them, telling my mother how lucky she was to have such a wonderful daughter in law. No one had defended me. No one had questioned the timeline. No one had thought it was strange that an engaged couple broke up, and immediately one of them married the former fiancé's best friend, with the mother's enthusiastic blessing. Or they had thought it was strange, but they'd chosen to believe the version of events they'd been told. On the 6th day, I made my plan. I wasn't going to confront them. Confrontation gave them the opportunity to make excuses, to justify, to manipulate. I'd learned that lesson the hard way 2 years ago. Instead, I was going to do something much more effective. I was going to let the truth speak for itself. I created a private website. Nothing fancy, just a simple, clean design. A timeline running down the center of the page. On that timeline, I placed screenshots from the security footage. Each image was dated and time-stamped. Each one showed exactly what was happening. Chelsea entering my parents' house while I was at work. Multiple dates over multiple months. James and Chelsea together at my parents' house. Multiple dates. All three of them together. Planning. Laughing. Coordinating. The lawyer meeting. The dinner party I wasn't invited to. The heated conversation between James and my father. The celebration on the back deck. I added brief, factual captions. No emotional language. No accusations. Just statements of fact. April 15th to 17 p.m. Chelsea Martin entering the Winters residence. Sarah Winters at work verified by employer timestamp. Michael Winters at work verified by employer timestamp. Jennifer Winters home alone with Chelsea Martin for 3 hours. May 23rd, 10:34 a.m. James Crawford. Chelsea Martin and Jennifer Winters meeting on back deck. Documents exchanged. Celebration observed. September 8th, 6:45 p.m. Dinner party at Winters residence. Guests include James Crawford and Chelsea Martin. Sarah Winters not present working late shift, verified by employer timestamp. Sarah Winters later told not to bother coming home that night. I included a statement at the top of the page. This is a factual timeline of events that occurred prior to the dissolution of my engagement to James Crawford and the end of my friendship with Chelsea Martin. All footage is from a legally installed security system on private property with the owner's consent. All timestamps are accurate and verified. All footage is available in full upon request for legal purposes. This website exists solely to document the truth. Then I waited until the 7th day, the last day of access to Mrs. Chen's house, the day of Chelsea and James's second wedding anniversary, which I knew from Chelsea's Instagram she'd been posting about all week. They were having a party at my parents' house, a big celebration. Chelsea had posted pictures of the decorations, the catering setup, the guest list of 40 people. 40 people who all believed their version of the story. At 5 p.m., 1 hour before the party started, I sent the website link. Not to everyone, not publicly. That would be cruel, and despite everything, I wasn't interested in cruelty. I sent it to 5 people. My mother, my father, Chelsea, James, and my Uncle Tom, my father's brother, who was one of the few people who tried to stay in touch with me after I left. The email was brief. I came back to settle Mrs. Chen's estate. She left me something she thought I should have. This is what I found. I thought you should see it before I decide what to do with it. I didn't threaten, didn't demand, didn't ask for anything. I just sent the truth and waited. I was sitting in Mrs. Chen's living room, watching my parents' house through the window, when my phone started ringing. My mother. I declined the call. Chelsea. Declined. James. Declined. My father. Declined. My mother again. Declined. A text from my mother. Call me right now. Another. Text. This is not what it looks like. Another. You're taking things out of context. Another. If you show this to people, I will never forgive you. I watched through the window as people started arriving for the party. Watched them go inside with gifts and bottles of wine, all dressed up, ready to celebrate. My phone kept ringing. I turned off the sound and just watched the screen light up over and over. Then, 20 minutes into the party, I saw my Uncle Tom's truck pull up. He got out, looked at my parents' house, then looked directly at Mrs. Chen's house, at the window where I was sitting. He couldn't see me through the curtain, but somehow, I knew he knew I was there. He walked into my parents' house. 5 minutes later, people started leaving. Not everyone, not in a flood, but in groups of 2 or 3, looking confused, some looking angry. My phone rang. Uncle Tom, I answered. Sarah. Hi, Uncle Tom. Are you at Margaret's house? Yes. Can I come over? Okay. He was at the door 30 seconds later. I let him in. He looked older than I remembered, more gray hair, deeper lines around his eyes. But his hug was the same, strong and genuine and uncomplicated. I showed them, he said when he pulled back. I walked in there, and your mother tried to rush me, and I just pulled out my phone and held it up. Showed them I had the website open. Told them everyone in that room was going to see it if they didn't start telling the truth right now. You didn't have to do that. Yeah, I did. I should have done more 2 years ago, but I didn't know. I thought you just couldn't handle the breakup. I thought you'd left because you were hurt and needed space. He looked furious. They told everyone you were unstable, that you'd threatened Chelsea, that you tried to sabotage their relationship. I know. It's all there. Everything you documented. The timeline, the meetings, all of it. Jennifer tried to say it was innocent, that she was just being supportive of Chelsea going through a hard time. But I asked her what hard time Chelsea was going through for over a year, before she even started dating James publicly. She couldn't answer. What did they say? A lot of deflecting. A lot of you don't understand. But I kept pushing. Finally, James admitted they'd been together for 18 months before he broke up with you. 18 months, Sarah, while you were engaged to him, while you were planning a wedding. The number hit differently hearing it out loud. 18 months. A year and a half of lies. Chelsea tried to defend it. Uncle Tom continued. Said they fell in love and couldn't help it. I asked her why she didn't tell you immediately if it was so innocent. Asked her why all the secret meetings. She didn't have an answer for that either. And my mother? His expression darkened. Jennifer kept saying she was just trying to support everyone. That she wanted everyone to be happy. That you were always so difficult and jealous. And she was trying to help navigate a complicated situation. I asked her what was complicated about telling her daughter the truth. She said I didn't understand because I wasn't a parent. Classic. I told them that if I was a parent, I'd have fought like hell for my kid instead of helping people lie to her for over a year. He shook his head. Most of the guests left once they realized what was happening. The few who stayed were asking questions. Lots of questions. I didn't want to ruin their party, Sarah. They ruined their own party the moment they decided to build their happiness on your pain and then lie about it. We sat in Mrs. Chen's living room as the sun set. Across the street, I could see people still leaving my parents' house. The celebration was over. What are you going to do with the footage? Uncle Tom asked. I don't know yet. Part of me wants to post it everywhere. Let everyone see who they really are. But that would make me like them. It would make this about revenge instead of truth. Sometimes truth is revenge, he said quietly. My phone buzzed. A text from my father. Please come over. We need to talk. I showed Uncle Tom. He raised an eyebrow. Your call. Come with me? Always. We walked across the street together. The last few party guests were pulling away, giving me strange looks. I didn't recognize most of them. New friends. Chelsea and James's people. My mother opened the door before we could knock. She looked older too, tired. Her party dress seemed wrong somehow, too festive for the moment. Sarah. Her voice cracked. Please, come in. The living room looked exactly the same. Same furniture. Same photos on the walls, though I noticed the ones with me in them were gone. Replaced with pictures of Chelsea and James. My father sat in his usual chair. James and Chelsea were on the couch, holding hands, both looking pale. Chelsea had been crying. James looked angry, defensive. I want to start by saying, my mother began. No, I interrupted. You don't get to start. I don't owe you a conversation. I don't owe you anything. That footage is taken out of context, James said. We were going to tell you. We were trying to find the right time. For 18 months. He flinched. You want context? I looked at my mother. Here's context. Every single time I came to you hurt and confused about why my relationship felt off. Why James seemed distant. Why Chelsea was being weird. You told me I was being paranoid. You told me I was jealous and insecure. You told me to trust them. I was trying to protect you. You were lying to me. You were actively helping them lie to me. My voice was rising, and I forced it back down. You let me plan a wedding to a man who was cheating on me with my best friend. You let me pick out a dress. You helped me address invitations, all while meeting with them behind my back, all while helping them coordinate their relationship, all while watching me get excited about a future that you knew was a lie. It wasn't like that, Chelsea said weakly. We tried to stay away from each other. We really tried. For 18 months. You tried for 18 months? I laughed, and it sounded bitter even to me. What stopped you from trying? What was the breaking point where you decided to stop fighting it? She didn't answer. I'll tell you what happened, I said, looking at the timeline I'd memorized from the footage. James finished his degree. The one I supported him through. The one I worked extra hours to help pay for. He got the job he wanted. And suddenly, you didn't need me anymore. Suddenly, it was safe to leave because I'd already served my purpose. That's not fair, James said. You're right. What's not fair is that I wasted 3 years of my life on you. What's not fair is that I lost my best friend. What's not fair is that my own mother chose you over me. I turned to my mother. That's what I can't forgive. Not the affair. Not even the lies. But the fact that when I came to you devastated, when I needed my mother more than I've ever needed anyone, you chose them. You comforted him. You consoled her. You welcomed them into our home and erased me like I never existed. You cut us off. My father spoke for the first time. You left. You didn't give us a chance to explain. What was there to explain? You knew. The footage proves you knew. You argued with James about it months before they told me. You knew what was happening, and you did nothing. I told him to tell you the truth. My father said that's what the argument was about. I told him he needed to be honest with you, but you didn't tell me. Even knowing what he was doing, you didn't tell me yourself. You let it continue. You let me keep planning a wedding, keep believing in a relationship, keep trusting people who were betraying me every single day. The room was silent. What do you want? My mother finally asked. Why did you show us this? Why come back now? Because Mrs. Chen gave me a gift, I said. She gave me proof. Undeniable, time-stamped, legally obtained proof of what really happened. And she gave me a choice about what to do with it. You want to destroy us, Chelsea said. You want revenge. No. If I wanted revenge, I would have posted everything publicly before I even sent you that link. I would have sent it to everyone we know, to James's employer, to your friends and families. I would have made sure everyone saw exactly who you are. Then what do you want? James demanded. I want you to tell the truth. They stared at me. I want you to stop telling people I'm crazy. I want you to stop saying I couldn't handle the breakup. I want you to stop playing the victims of my jealousy and drama. I looked at each of them. I want you to tell people what actually happened. That you had an affair for 18 months while I was engaged to you. That my mother knew and helped you hide it. That I wasn't irrational or unstable or any of the things you've been saying. I was just someone who got betrayed by everyone she trusted. And if we do, my mother asked carefully, then the footage stays between us. I won't post it. I won't send it to anyone else. I'll keep it as proof of my own sanity. And that's it. You're blackmailing us, James said. No. Blackmail would be demanding money or forcing you to do something against your will. I'm asking you to tell the truth. If telling the truth feels like blackmail to you, that says more about you than it does about me. Uncle Tom shifted beside me. She could have ruined you tonight. She could have sent that link to everyone at your party, everyone in town, everyone you work with. She didn't. She's giving you a chance to control the narrative yourselves. I'd suggest you take it. People will hate us, Chelsea whispered. People might understand you. I countered. If you tell them the truth from the beginning, if you explain that you fell in love but handled it badly, if you own what you did instead of making me the villain, people forgive honesty. They don't forgive lies. What about work? James asked. If people know I was, if they know the timeline, that's your problem to solve. You should have thought about that before you built a relationship on deception. My mother was crying silently. I never meant to hurt you. But you did. You chose them over me. You helped them lie to me. You erased me from your life like I didn't matter. I felt tears starting, but pushed them back. I didn't come back for an apology. I don't need your excuses. I just need you to stop making me the villain in a story where I was the victim. And then what? My father asked. You'll just leave again? Yes. We'll never see you again? Probably not. My mother made us sound like a wounded animal. Sarah, please. You're my daughter. We can work through this. We can be a family again. No, we can't. You made your choice 2 years ago. You chose them. You chose their happiness over mine. You can't unmake that choice now. I made a mistake. You made 1,000 mistakes. Every day for over a year, you made the choice to lie to me. Every time I came to you for support, you made the choice to gaslight me instead. Every time you met with them, you made the choice to betray me. I shook my head. Those weren't mistakes. Those were choices. What if we refuse? James said suddenly. What if we don't change what we've been saying? Then I'll post everything. Every single piece of footage. Every timestamp. Every documented meeting. And I'll let people make their own judgments. You said you didn't want revenge. I don't. But I'm also not going to let you keep destroying my reputation to protect yours. The truth is going to come out one way or another. You get to choose whether it comes out on your terms or mine. We stared at each other across the living room. These people who used to be my entire world, who used to be the ones I ran to when I needed help, who I loved and trusted and believed in. They looked like strangers now. Fine. My mother said finally, we'll tell people the truth. We'll correct the story. I want to see it, I said. I want you to post something on social media acknowledging what really happened, not an apology to me. I don't want that. Just the truth. Just a public acknowledgement that the timeline wasn't what you've been telling people. You're serious? Chelsea said. Completely. Uncle Tom's phone buzzed. He checked it and showed me the screen. A text from his wife. What's going on? People are asking me questions about Sarah and some footage. You have until tomorrow night, I said. If I don't see a public acknowledgement by then, I'll post everything myself. I turned to leave. Uncle Tom followed. At the door, my mother called out, Sarah, wait, please. I know I can't fix this, but can I at least know you're okay? That you're safe and happy somewhere? I looked back at her, at all of them. I have a good life now. A life that doesn't involve people who lie to me. That's all you need to know. We walked back to Mrs. Chen's house in silence. When we got inside, Uncle Tom said, You really okay? No, but I will be. Want me to stay? I can sleep on the couch. I'm fine. Really, I'm leaving in the morning anyway. You're not going to watch them. See if they follow through. I'll check online tomorrow night. If they do, great. If they don't, I'll handle it. But I don't need to be here for either outcome. He hugged me again. I'm proud of you. For what it's worth, It's worth a lot, actually. After he left, I sat in Mrs. Chen's living room one last time. The house felt peaceful. Sad, but peaceful. I thought about her, watching me grow up, watching everything that happened, collecting evidence she hoped I'd never need, but knew I might. She'd seen me when no one else did. She'd believe me when everyone else called me crazy. I whispered thank you to the empty room. The next morning, I packed up the hard drives with all the footage, locked Mrs. Chen's house for the last time, and drove to the airport. I checked social media that night from my apartment 3 states away. My mother had posted, "I need to address some things that I haven't been honest about. 2 years ago, when Sarah and James broke up, I wasn't truthful about the circumstances. James and Chelsea had been in a relationship for some time before they told Sarah. I was aware of this and didn't tell her. I've spent 2 years blaming Sarah for her reaction instead of acknowledging the pain we caused. That was wrong. Sarah wasn't dramatic or unstable. She was hurt by people she trusted, including me. I'm sorry to everyone who I misled about what happened, and I'm especially sorry to Sarah. Though I know she'll probably never see this." Chelsea had posted something similar. An admission of the timeline. An acknowledgement that they'd lied about how their relationship started. No excuses, just facts. James's post was shorter, more defensive in tone. But it was there. He admitted the affair, admitted the timeline, admitted that I'd been told a false narrative. The comments were exactly what I expected. Shock, anger. People who'd believed their version of events now questioning everything. People who'd called me dramatic now apologizing to me on posts I'd never see. Because I'd blocked most of them years ago. A few people defended them, said everyone makes mistakes, that love is complicated, that I should forgive and move on. But most people didn't. Most people were angry on my behalf. Angry that they'd been lied to. Angry that a daughter had been erased. Angry that 3 people had coordinated a deception for 18 months and then blamed the victim. When it came out, I read through the comments for a few minutes, then closed the apps. It felt hollow somehow. I'd wanted people to know the truth, but seeing it didn't feel as satisfying as I thought it would. Uncle Tom called. "You saw." "Yeah. Half the town is talking about it. Your mother's phone has been ringing off the hook. Chelsea apparently left work early today because people kept asking her about it." Good, is it? Good. I mean, does it feel good? I thought about it. It feels necessary, like something that had to happen, but not good exactly. That's fair. He paused. "Your dad called me. Asked if I thought you'd ever come back, even just to visit." "What did you tell him?" "I told him that was up to you, but that if I was a betting man, I'd say no. You'd win that bet. He's not handling this well. None of them are. Reality is setting in that they really did destroy their relationship with you, and there's no taking it back. They destroyed it 2 years ago. They're just now realizing it. Your mother asked if I had your number, your address, anything. Please don't give it to them." "I won't. I promise you that already." He sighed. "She's my sister-in-law, and I love her. But what she did to you, I can't forgive that. I can't pretend it was okay. Thank you for believing me. Thank you for coming back, even just for a week. I know it wasn't easy." After we hung up, I sat with my laptop, staring at the folder containing all the security footage. Hundreds of hours of video. Proof of every lie, every deception, every betrayal. I copied everything to a secure cloud drive, then backed it up on a 3rd hard drive that I put in my safe deposit box. Not because I planned to use it again, but because I needed to know it existed. Needed to know that if anyone ever tried to rewrite history again, I had the receipts. Then I tried to go back to my normal life. Work was the same. My small apartment was the same. My friends here, real friends who didn't know my family, didn't know my history, were the same. I'd built a good life in 2 years. A quiet life. An honest life. But something had shifted. Going back, seeing them, confronting everything I'd run from it had changed something in me. I wasn't angrier. I was actually less angry than I'd been in a long time. But I was also done. Completely, finally done. For 2 years, I'd carried this weight. This need to be believed. This desperate desire for someone to acknowledge that I wasn't crazy. That what happened to me was real and wrong. Even though I'd built a new life, part of me was still back in that town. Still trying to prove myself to people who didn't deserve my energy. The footage had given me proof. The confrontation had given me acknowledgement. Their public posts had given me vindication. And now I could let it go. 3 weeks later, I deleted my backup of the security footage. All of it. I kept one USB drive with a few key clips locked in my safe deposit box, just in case. But the rest I erased completely. I didn't need it anymore. The truth was out there. People knew what happened. And whether my mother, James, and Chelsea lived with consequences or somehow rebuilt their reputations didn't matter to me anymore. I stopped checking their social media, stopped asking Uncle Tom for updates, stopped thinking about them at all, mostly. 6 months after I came back, Uncle Tom called with news. Chelsea and James are getting divorced. I felt nothing. Okay, apparently. Once the truth came out, their relationship fell apart. Too much pressure. Too much judgment. Chelsea's family found out the full story and cut her off. James's parents were horrified. They couldn't handle being the couple who got together through an affair. That's not my problem. I know. I just thought you'd want to know. Did they think it would be easier? That building a relationship on lies and betrayal would somehow turn into a fairy tale? I don't know what they thought, but it's over now. Chelsea moved back to her hometown. James is apparently dating someone new already. Of course he is. Your mother is devastated. She lost Chelsea, lost you, lost the future she'd planned where they were her perfect family. She made her choices, she did. He paused. She's been in therapy for whatever that's worth. Your dad too, trying to understand why they did what they did. Good for them. You really don't care anymore, do you? I care that it happened. I care that I lost 2 years of my life to it. But them, their consequences, their regrets. No, I don't care about that. That's their weight to carry, not mine. A year after I came back, I got a letter. Real mail, not email. My mother had somehow tracked down my address, probably through Uncle Tom, though he denied it. I almost threw it away without opening it. Almost. But curiosity won. It was long. 10 pages, handwritten. An attempt at explanation, at apology, at reconciliation. She wrote about her own failed dreams. Her disappointment in how her life had turned out. How she'd seen Chelsea as a second chance at the daughter relationship she'd wanted. She wrote about how she'd gotten caught up in their love story, had romanticized it, had convinced herself she was helping everyone find happiness. She wrote about how she'd minimized my pain because acknowledging it would mean acknowledging her own role in it. How she'd gaslight me because gaslighting me was easier than facing what she'd done. She wrote about therapy, about realizing she'd been a narcissist, about understanding now how deeply she'd hurt me. She wrote that she didn't expect forgiveness, didn't expect me to come back, just wanted me to know that she finally understood. She wrote that she loved me, that she'd always loved me, that she'd loved me wrong, but she'd loved me. The last line said, "You deserved a better mother. I'm sorry I couldn't be her." I read it twice. Felt some old, buried part of me want to respond, want to give her another chance, want to believe that people could really change. Then I put the letter in a drawer and never responded. Maybe she had changed. Maybe she really did understand now. Maybe her regret was genuine. But it didn't matter. Some things, once broken, can't be fixed. Some betrayals are too fundamental. Some relationships end not because of hate, but because the trust is so completely destroyed that there's nothing left to build on. I didn't hate her. I didn't hate any of them anymore. But I also didn't need them. Didn't want them in my life. Didn't believe that their realizations 2 years too late somehow erased what they'd done. 2 years after I came back, 4 years after I'd left the first-time uncle, Tom called with different news. Your dad had a heart attack. He's okay. He's going to be fine. But your mother wants you to know. She wants to know if you'd come visit him in the hospital. No. Sarah, no. I'm sorry he's sick. I hope he recovers. But I'm not coming back. I'm not doing this. He asked for you. When he woke up after surgery, he asked if you were there. That hurt unexpectedly. But I held firm. He made his choices. I made mine. I'm sorry he's sick, but I can't. I won't put myself back in that situation. Okay. Uncle Tom's voice was sad but understanding. I'll tell them. How is she? My mother. Honestly, not good. Losing Chelsea, losing you. Watching her marriage fall apart because your dad blamed her for all of it. She's struggling. Is she still in therapy? Yeah. She goes 3 times a week now. Good. I hope it helps her. But you're not coming back. No, I'm not. Not ever. I thought about Mrs. Chen's house, about the security footage, about standing in my parents' living room and finally having proof that I wasn't crazy, about the weight that had lifted when I stopped caring what they thought. Not ever. I confirmed. 3 years after I came back, I met someone, David. He was kind and honest and straightforward in a way that felt almost foreign after years of lies and manipulation. Our relationship developed slowly, carefully. I was cautious in ways I'd never been before, watching for red flags, for inconsistencies, for any sign that I was being deceived. But there was nothing. Just a good man who said what he meant and meant what he said. 6 months into our relationship, I told him everything. About James and Chelsea and my mother. About the security footage. About going back and confronting them. About choosing to walk away permanently. He listened without judgment, without trying to fix it, without suggesting I should forgive them or give them another chance. That must have been incredibly hard, he said when I finished. All of it, it was. But I survived it. I'm here. You did more than survive. You took control of your own narrative. You got the truth out there, and then you chose to move forward. That takes strength. Sometimes I wonder if I should have handled it differently. If I should have been more open to reconciliation. Why? What would that have gotten you? I don't know. Peace, maybe. You have peace now, don't you? I thought about it. My quiet apartment. My stable job. My small circle of genuine friends. My relationship with David that was built on honesty and respect. My life that didn't include people who'd lied to my face for 18 months. Yeah, I said. I do. Then you made the right choice. For years after I came back, Uncle Tom called with the news I'd been half expecting. Your mother passed away. Overdose. Looks like it was intentional. The world stopped for a moment when, 2 days ago, your father found her. There was a note. She left one for you too. I don't want it. Sarah, I don't want it. Whatever she had to say, she had years to say it. She sent me that letter. She made her choices, and so did I. The funeral is Saturday. I won't be there. Are you sure? This is. This is final. This is the last chance. I know. And I'm not coming. He was quiet for a long time. Okay, I understand. Do you want me to tell you what happens? After no, I don't need to know. That part of my life is over. I didn't go to the funeral. Didn't read the note she left. Didn't reach out to my father, who Uncle Tom said was devastated with guilt. I felt sad, not for myself, but for her. For a woman who'd made terrible choices and then couldn't live with the consequences. For a mother who'd chosen other people over her daughter and then lost everyone. But I also felt nothing the grief I might have expected wasn't there. The regret about our lost relationship wasn't there. Just a quiet sadness that lives sometimes end badly. That people sometimes destroy their own happiness. David held me that night while I cried. Not for my mother specifically, but for everything. For the girl I'd been who trusted the wrong people. For the years I'd lost. For the family I'd never have. For all of it. Are you okay? He asked. Yeah, I am. That's the weird part. I actually am okay. And I was. 5 years after I came back, 7 years after I'd left the first time I got an email from Chelsea. I almost deleted it without reading it. But curiosity won again. It was short. Sarah, I don't expect you to respond to this. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that you were right about everything. James and I were a disaster built on lies and betrayal, and it destroyed both of us. He's on his 3rd relationship since our divorce. I'm alone and unemployed and living with my parents. Your mother is dead because she couldn't handle what she'd done. Your father hasn't spoken to me since the funeral. And you're the only one who came out of this okay. Because you were the only one who told the truth. I'm sorry for all of it. I know it doesn't matter, but I'm sorry. Chelsea. I read it twice, then closed my email. David found me staring at my laptop. Everything okay? Chelsea sent me an apology. How do you feel about that? I don't know. It's too late. 7 years too late. She's sorry now because her life fell apart, not because she realized what she did was wrong. Are you going to respond? No. What would I say? Thanks for the apology after you helped destroy my life. I forgive you even though I don't. There's no response that makes sense. Then don't respond. That feels cruel. Why? You don't owe her closure. You don't owe her forgiveness. You don't owe her anything. He was right. I didn't owe her anything. I deleted the email without responding. Now. 7 years after I came back, 9 years after I left the first time, I'm sitting in the home. David and I bought together. We got married last year. Small ceremony, just close friends, people who know us as we are now, not as who we used to be. Sometimes I think about that week in Mrs. Chen's house, about the security footage, about confronting them all, about the choice I made to get the truth out there and then walk away forever. People have told me I should have given them more chances. That family is family. That forgiveness is healing. That holding on to anger only hurts yourself. But they don't understand. I didn't hold on to anger. I let it go. I just didn't let them back in. There's a difference between forgiveness and reconciliation. I forgave them for myself, so I could move forward. But forgiveness doesn't mean I have to have a relationship with people who betrayed me. Doesn't mean I have to give them more opportunities to hurt me. The cameras changed everything because they gave me something I'd been denied for 2 years. Proof, validation, evidence that I wasn't the crazy, jealous, dramatic person they'd made me out to be. But more than that, they gave me power. The power to tell my story truthfully. The power to correct the narrative. The power to choose what happened next. I chose to walk away. To build a life that didn't include them. To find people who valued honesty and loyalty and basic human decency. And that choice saved me. I don't know what happened to my father. Don't know if James is still cycling through relationships. Don't know if Chelsea ever rebuilt her life. I don't need to know. That's not my story anymore. My story is here, in this house with David, with the friends I've made who know me as I really am, with the life I built from nothing after everything I knew burned down. Mrs. Chen gave me a gift. Not just the footage, but the choice of what to do with it. The choice of whether to become bitter or to become free. I chose freedom. And if I could go back and talk to that 25-year-old who was packing her car to drive away from everything she knew, devastated and alone and doubting her own sanity, I'd tell her, you're right. Trust yourself. They did lie to you. You're not crazy. And yes, it's going to hurt like hell for a while, but you're going to make it. You're going to build something better. You're going to find people who tell you the truth even when it's hard. You're going to create a life that doesn't require you to doubt yourself or accept lies, or settle for people who don't value you. And 7 years from now, you're going to be sitting in your own home, married to someone who treats you with respect, surrounded by genuine friends. And you're going to realize that the best revenge wasn't exposing them. It was leaving. It was building a better life. It was proving that you didn't need any of them to be happy. That was the real power of those cameras. Not just showing me what happened, but giving me the courage to close that door completely and walk towards something better. I went back after 2 years. The cameras changed everything, but I changed everything more. If you've been through something similar, if you've had to walk away from people who were supposed to love you, I want you to know you're not alone, and you're not wrong for choosing yourself. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is leave and never look back. Like this video if you believe in choosing truth over comfort. And subscribe if you want more real stories about people who found strength in impossible situations. Comment below and let me know. Would you have handled it differently? What would you have done? Remember, you deserve people who tell you the truth. You deserve relationships built on honesty. And you deserve to choose yourself when everyone else has chosen to betray you.